I remember it like it was yesterday. It was 2007, and I was working at this startup tech firm. Well, it wasn't a startup, it was part of a bigger company, but I was working at a tech company in downtown Orlando as an application support engineer. And at the time, I was rocking both a Sidekick 3, maybe 4, and a Motorola Riser. Ever since I was able to buy a cell phone, innovation always pushed me to make my purchase. And the Sidekick at the time was one of the dopest phones that you can have. It had this screen on the front that you can swivel open and reveal the physical key. Yes, the screen was sometimes flimsy, but as they created more and more sidekicks, it got better and better. I loved that phone so much so that I was willing to rock 2 devices to have one. And as far as the Motorola Riser goes, I don't even think they sold that phone here in the US. I was always on eBay buying the latest phones that you couldn't get over here because they had so many different features and functions. It was dope. So in 2007, Apple announced their iPhone, and I was highly skeptical because one of the selling points was that it had a touchscreen keyboard. Nowadays, every phone has a touch, like you're used to it. It's not something that is weird, but at the time, that was the only device in the market that had a touchscreen keyboard. And somebody who had a Sidekick, I was like, there's no way in hell that I'm getting that. Now keep in mind, I did recently just switch over to a MacBook for my everyday computing, and I also had an iPod because of course I had an iPod. If you listen to music back in the day, you had an iPod. So at the time of this announcement, I wasn't locked into the Apple ecosystem like I am today. So the day of the launch comes. It was at 6 p.m. and they were doing launches at all of the Apple stores worldwide. I happen to live in Orlando, so there was an Apple store at the Mall of Millennia. I remember it was a Friday because I was at work at the time, and there was a few people in the office, and we're all like, are we gonna get this phone or we're not gonna get this phone? Around 11 o'clock that day, we all decided, yeah, we're getting this phone. Luckily, the president of the company was a big tech nerd like us, and he was already in line waiting for the phone. So we put our time in to leave, and we went to the mall and stood in the longest line I've ever been in the mall for. It was the longest line in the world, and we were there from 12 till 6 till launch. And this is the box from at launch. I don't have all of it because I'm going to do like an art piece with this, but look at this. This is the very first iPhone that I purchased. It didn't have an app store. It didn't have apps. The web browser was weird. It was 8 gigabytes, but the innovation that this phone brought is what spurred me to buy it. And then over the years, of course, I kept upgrading each phone. Even if it was the smallest bump, I went either 1 year with keeping the phone, or sometimes I just upgraded the next year, and that just kept going and going, and they got bigger. And these were, I don't even know if these are the same phone because they stopped changing what iPhones looked like. They started to fall into this groove of, you know what, just give it a better battery, give it a better camera, and we don't really have to innovate like we used to. And after 18 years, that has led me to this iPhone right here. This is the iPhone 15 Pro Max. This right here is my last iPhone. This will be the last iPhone that I purchased for a while because recently we made some changes. AT&T was doing this crazy deal that I could not pass up. Yes, I have the Galaxy Fold 7, and I went ahead and got the Galaxy Watch 8 Classic because in combination with buying every iPhone over the last 18 years, I also purchased a fair amount of Apple Watches, as well as AirPods. AirPods Pro specifically are still the best AirPods you can get on the market. The noise cancellation is a godsend. I used to hate going to the airport, but these headphones have made doing that less of a chore. But yeah, the Saturday before the big Apple event, I decided right then and there that I am switching over to the Galaxy Fold 7 because that phone is exactly what my innovative mind was looking for. As you can tell from the design, they finally nailed the front cover and it feels like a real phone. There are times where I'm using this phone and I forget that I can open it up to get a bigger screen. But oh boy, when I remember, I am greeted with this beautiful 8-inch OLED screen and I can get so much done on this screen. I will make a more in-depth video of this phone soon, but oh my, I am excited. And that spark that I used to have, the spark that I had when I first saw the iPhone, how different that phone was, how innovative it felt, that spark was reignited with this Fold 7. Once I heard all the rumors of Apple not doing a Fold phone this year, I was like, okay, this is it. I didn't get the 16 because it looked so much like the 15 and they didn't really do anything that was different that I needed. So I decided then and there, if Apple's not releasing a foldable phone this year, then I'm jumping into Android. It's gonna be amazing. All right, before we get too far into this video, I do want to look at what Apple announced at their event to see if it would have swayed me to upgrade for my 15 Pro Max. But from the pictures that I've seen, I don't know. Don't let this orange shirt fool you. I love the color orange, but that phone would have not made me upgrade to the 17 Pro Max. So let's look at all of the iPhone models. We have the iPhone 17 Pro Max because that's the one that I would have been looking at. The iPhone Air, because it's different enough that maybe I would have upgraded to it. And we'll look at my phone in comparison to 15 Pro Max, which is getting traded into AT&T today. All right, so it looks like the new iPhone has a bigger screen, which that probably would have swayed me. Same screen as mine, the dynamic island. It went back to aluminum. Interesting choice. It went back to aluminum from making all that noise about titanium, and it was probably because A, it's probably cheaper, and B, it does better with heat. The camera control, I don't even know, is that weird button that they put in the side? I don't even remember. The new ceramic, that would have been nice. A17 Pro versus A19 Pro. Like at this point, these phones are doing enough compute power that I never noticed the bump unless you wait like 2 or 3, maybe 4 years, and then you can see that performance bump. But other than that, yay, the number went up. 10 hours more if I would have went from 15 to 17, that's nice. The new front camera is interesting, but as someone who doesn't take that many pictures as much as I used to, I don't really care about that. And speaking of cameras, one thing that kept me in the iPhone ecosystem is because their cameras are way better than everybody's cameras. I don't care what you say. Like I have the Fold 7. The cameras are nice, but I still feel like Apple is doing something better, either in the image processing or just the camera itself. They just feel better. And these new cameras, yeah, they seem dope, but I have changed my ways as a content creator. Now, through the 18 years of using iPhones, when the cameras got better and I was starting to shoot more content, I was definitely using my iPhone as my default camera. I've bought lenses from Moment. I have bought different cages and rigs that'll help you steady your shot. I've also have a few gimbals that I can still utilize, but I bought them specifically for my phone so my shots would be more stable. So if the iPhone is the only option you have to shoot content, that is a great option to have, and I wouldn't knock it ever. But again, I'm changing my ways as a content creator and how I shoot content. This right here is the Osmo Pocket 3, and I love this camera. It's easy to set up. You just turn on the screen and it's ready to shoot, ready to go. Pair it with a DJI mic, which I have. I recommend the smaller one versus that bigger one, and you're ready to go. You could buy different lenses for this. You could buy ND filters. You can put a wide angle lens on this. You can buy different accessories to kit this out for your needs. And yes, it even takes pictures if I wanted to get into taking pictures. It has a nice auto track feature. There's so many things packed into this camera. This is now my default way to take and capture footage when I'm out on the go. So once I realized that was one less thing that I had to worry about when deciding to switch over to Android. All right, let's get back to these features. It looks like, okay, optical zoom's a little better. Apple Intelligence, which after using the Fold 7 for 2 days, Apple Intelligence needs to step their game up. Faster USB-C, which is nice. Here's a crazy thing. I didn't realize the max that I can charge my iPhone was 15 watt on wireless charging. I believe it's 17 and a half through cable. That is crazy. There have been a lot of complaints about the Fold 7 only charging at 25 watts, I believe. To me, that's an upgrade because apparently I was stuck in slow land with Apple's phones, but it looks like they're getting up to 25 watts wireless charging, and who knows what it is through wire. Pricing, yeah, definitely cheaper than the Fold 7, but again, not very innovative. I feel like because Apple is so popular, they have the benefit of not having to upgrade their phones as drastic as everyone else has to. They're still making money on their phones. Yes, that Air, I don't know who that is actually for, and I didn't even look at the Air specs. Thing that is crazy to me about the Air is it only has one camera. I kind of understand it, smaller form factor, you need to make room for all the other components, but it's $1,000. The iPhone 17 Pro, the iPhone 17 is better than the Air option. I guess if you're looking for something really thin, then that's your option. Also, speaking of thin, even with this case on, this Fold 7 is thinner than that phone, which is crazy to me. Close is definitely thicker, but look how thin that is. Also, here's a watch. Oh my, like look at this watch. Doesn't that look like a real watch? It doesn't look digital at all. But yeah, so far I'm 3 days in with my purchase. I am highly satisfied. There are a lot of things on Android that I love that I've missed because throughout those 18 years, there was a point where I was working in IT and I did have access to Android phones. So I was rocking a Samsung Edge 7. I believe I got the 6 and the 7. And then I ended up getting a couple of the Note 20s because I kept breaking them because they were work phones and I didn't really care for them. I didn't put no case on them. The Note 20 was great. That S Pen was amazing. And no, I don't miss the S Pen in the 7. If including an S Pen meant that this phone was going to be thicker, then I'm cool without it. And I also ended up with the Motorola Razr. The very first Razr, there was a foldable phone because somebody higher up in the company needed one. So of course, if one of the higher ups had it, we need to keep one on hand for support. And of course, I was the one who was doing that because everybody else was iPhone at that time. But so yeah, there are going to be things that I miss from Apple. And don't get me wrong, I still have all my Apple product. I still have an iPad. I still work on a Mac Mini. That's where I do most of my computing at. I'm not leaving the ecosystem, nor am I afraid of what changing my daily driver is going to do to that ecosystem. Some of my pain points that I thought I was going to miss from switching over to Android, I've already found solutions for, alternatives for. And I'm sure if anything else crops up, I'll find alternatives for those as well. But other than that, if you thought about switching from iPhone, what has kept you there? For the longest time, it was ecosystem for me and just familiarity with the platform and knowing what I was getting. But every once in a while, change is a good thing. I am actually looking forward to what my brain does with this new information. Like everything I do on a daily basis when it comes to a phone has been flipped upside down. So it's giving me a chance to change some of my routines, think differently about the things that I'm doing, and I'm actually looking forward to that process. But yeah, leave me a comment below. Let me know what's keeping you in the ecosystem that you're in, and have you been swayed by the Fold 7? Because I gotta tell you, this is one of the most futuristic phones that I felt like I've had in my hands in years. I saw a quote on Apple's website saying, "Oh, this is what the future feels like," in regards to the iPhone Air, and I completely disagree. The future feels like I have a regular phone in my hand and I can all of a sudden just open it up to be a tablet. That's what the future feels like. So yeah, if they announce a Fold iPhone next year, if it's not better than the Fold 7, then I'm not even gonna look at it. Too late, Apple. You should have moved faster. Other than that, I appreciate you watching. If you don't already subscribe to the channel, what are you waiting for? We're trying to get to 1,000 followers. We're so close. Look at that number. It's really close to 1,000 now, right? Yeah, exactly. Share this with a friend. All right, next up, the Fold 7 review.